Good morning and welcome. I'm so glad you're here. It's 8:15, so let's start our day. I can't see it yet, but it has turned these little mountains to our west a beautiful shade of orange. I'm scooping out some fermented feed for the chickens and getting the kids dressed to go outside. It was just below zero before daybreak, and now it's warming up quite a bit, but we still need our coats. It does take a while to get the kids ready, but it is so worth it to see them out and interacting with the animals. They genuinely like being outside, and it just brings me so much joy. In the wintertime, I keep bare boards out because my electric fence won't work with all of this snow, so I make sure I walk out in front of the kids and lift this thing up before they get there so no one gets hurt. The bears should be hibernating, but the big cats are not. I try to keep a few small squares of hay stashed into the woodshed, and this morning I'm going to take a couple of those and put them into the goat barn and on the front of the chicken coop in that hay box. This summer I'm going to try and find a better solution for hay storage. There's about 100 stashed in the goat barn and another 50 right here on the front of the hen house. Since it's attached to the hen house, we have practically no issues with rodents. That keeps the hay nice and clean for my rabbits. After I feed the chickens, I fill their little box up with some snow so that way when I collect the eggs, they're going to be nice and clean and they're not going to have little bits of feed on them. We have 9 hens and it looks like 8 of them contributed this morning. 2 of these roosters will be going into the freezer relatively soon. They're getting along well, but there is no need to have 3 of them for 9 hens. Noki and Hallie are always interested in whatever we're doing. The goats always have unlimited access to hay, but they go bonkers for their grains. Giving them grain might have been a mistake because now every time I walk outside they yell for it, and I'm kind of afraid they're going to call in some predators by doing that. But it is helpful to get some extra calories in them, especially when it's nice and cold out. You can see my little pelt scraping stand in front of the house there. By this time of the year, we should have about 3 feet of snow. We clearly don't have that right now. I am a bit anxious about this upcoming fire season because we need the heavy snowpack to keep the fires down. We don't usually get much rain during the summer, so this snow is our precipitation for the year. Now it's time to get the winter gear off of the kids, put these eggs away, and start on some breakfast. The hens are Rhode Island Reds and Golden Comets, and this is their first year laying, so we are getting a ton of eggs, usually 6 to 9 a day. Almost every morning I fix us breakfast sandwiches, and of course I have to have my coffee to go along with that. Grinding my coffee every morning is such a simple little pleasure of mine. After breakfast and sometimes during, I will pull out a book and read. I enjoy it, but I also want to make reading a normalcy for my kids. Now I'm going to make a quick trip for some firewood and fill the stove back up. As you'll soon learn about me, I am not a great housekeeper, but one thing about me is I will wash our bed sheets at least twice a week. I am usually behind on laundry, but I do keep up on making sure the beds are nice and clean. These cute little pumpkins have been sitting in my windowsill for months, so I'm going to take them out and do something with them. If this is still good, I'm going to make a little pumpkin pie for us today. And sadly, it looks like there's a little bit of mold in there. Normally, I wouldn't save seeds from something that went bad, but this has been sitting a while. It's not the pumpkin's fault. I'm going to pull the seeds out and put them out to dry. We'll see if we can't use those seeds to get more pumpkins next year, and I'm going to feed those exclusively to the animals because I've already got some really good winter squash set aside for us. I adore how the rabbits always come up to greet me like this. They know I've got pets and treats all the time, and little Miss Hallie is down there talking to us about something. She's a very sweet and chatty girl. About half of the rabbits decided they liked the pumpkin and the other half not so much. 3 of these guys need to go into the freezer this week. I like to joke that we're basically seasoning our rabbits from the inside out. I've got to give some to the goats too. Daisy doesn't like pumpkins, but she's got to try a bite of every one just to make sure. The 2 black goats are her daughters and the other tan is her son. We are raising him as a little meat goat. I'll admit that is going to be a hard one because I have become really attached to that sweet boy. He is so funny and he has so much personality. He's just a joy to watch. Hallie is back to say hi again. My little eggshell pile is getting out of hand. I gotta do something about that. I dry coffee grounds and eggshells up here before I grind them up and then put them away for the garden. I feed some of the eggshells back to the chickens, but not all of it. A lot of it I just grind and then give back to my garden. My greenhouse is not finished. I was hoping to get that done before winter, but it didn't happen, and that's okay. But I am very excited to get that finished and get some soil in there. I know that greenhouse is going to be like one of my favorite places ever when it's finally ready. I have attempted attempted a garden 3 years in a row, and they have all been mostly failures. The wildlife and midsummer frost have kicked my butt and humbled me in ways I didn't know possible. I am really hoping this greenhouse will fix that for me. The crushed eggshells are going to go into this old chocolate milk container. I'm going to put the lid on it and then put it under my sink. I have 11 of these containers full at this point. I think it's safe to assume I'm going to have plenty of calcium in my soil. I can't help myself though. I love to find new uses for things, and it's taken some time, but I really do my best to make sure that nothing is wasted around here. I use leftover apple and orange peels to make vinegar, and then whatever I don't need for vinegar goes over into this cute little simmer pot. I try to keep cedar, cinnamon, and orange peels in here so the whole house smells nice. While refilling the simmer pot, I realized my sink is full again. That happens so fast when you cook all of your meals from scratch and you don't have a dishwasher. I've started listening to audiobooks while I do dishes, so I really don't mind it. This is ground venison. My 5-year-old daughter labeled all of our packages. I was so proud of her this year. Watching her learn how to read and write has been so special. This is a very honest day in the life. Back in December, I set up autopay because I have such a hard time remembering bills and when they're due, so I thought I was going to take something off of my plate. Well, guess what? My internet stopped working and I realized I must have had my autopay set up on a card that is expired. There are no cell towers in our area, so the kids and I took a quick little hike up to our neighbors. We had a good laugh and a good visit. I paid my internet, and this time I made sure to check the expiration date on my card. It's set up on the right card, finally. It's been a while since I made a mistake like this. I guess I was due for it. This put me a little behind, so I reheated some food from the freezer. I try to double my meals whenever possible and then freeze the rest, so if I have a day like today, we can still have a quick homemade meal and the kids won't be too grouchy with me. We don't wear shoes in the house, and I still need to sweep and mop almost every single day. I genuinely don't know where it comes from. My dustpan is usually this full every single time I sweep. It really makes no sense to me. Now that the internet is corrected, I'm going to go back in my office and get some writing done while the kids play. The couch is totally full of laundry, so I guess it's time to sort that out and put it away. I decided to quit folding clothes a few years ago, and I refuse to go back. This is the only way I can keep up on laundry. Kudos to you if you can do otherwise. Time to lift weights. I do the same routine every time. It's 550 reps with a 50-pound barbell. I've been at it for a year and a half. I still have plenty of jiggle left, and that really doesn't bother me. I have put my body through a lot, and I'm honestly just grateful she hasn't given up on me. Even though I feel sweaty and gross, I'm gonna go outside and take care of the animals. I try to get this done before dark, but it didn't happen today. I always have a pistol or a shotgun on me when I go outside, even if I'm just getting wood or feeding the animals like right now. I have found that a lot of our natural predators are actually not afraid of people. They haven't caused any issues, but it's always better to be safe than sorry. We have black bears, grizzly bears, mountain lions, lynx, bobcats, wolves. We also have a lot of elk and moose in our area, and to be completely honest, I am more afraid of a moose than anything else. Most animals are going to notice that bare board. It's not to hurt them, it's to discourage them from walking through that door, and if they can't walk through that door, they're going to make a lot of noise trying to get in, which is hopefully going to give me enough time to react. The rabbits are getting their second helping of hay for the day. They seem very happy about that. This is a homemade hutch. I like it pretty well, but the only major flaw is it's connected right here to my hen house. So when my rabbits get their little midnight zoomies, they are making a ton of noise near the chickens which are trying to roost, and that makes my rooster and my guineas go crazy in the middle of the night, so I have to get up and check on them and see what's going on. 9 times out of 10 it's just the rabbits happy, but I always have to check. That wood stove really is the coziest thing ever. Our house is somewhere between 1,600 and 1,800 square feet, and that wood stove heats it all by itself. I ended up adding wood to the stove twice today because it was about 10 degrees for most of the day. Time for a quick shower, and then I'm making dinner. Tonight we're having venison cheeseburgers, corn, green beans, and baked potatoes. I kind of like to blur the lines between cheeseburger and meatball. I always add a lot of seasonings, even though this really doesn't need it. We add about 20% beef fat to all of our venison. It adds a really good flavor, and our friends and family who come visit us seem to really enjoy it too. The beef fat keeps it from being too gamey in flavor. Plus, since we're using beef fat, that lets me use my deer fat for other things. I used the fat from our last deer to make deer tallow, and then I whipped that tallow up with some homemade lavender infused oils, and that ended up being a really nice light and fluffy body butter. That has been so handy this winter because my hands and feet have been so dry. I try to time it so dinner is ready when my husband gets home. Eating dinner together is one of my favorite highlights of the day. After dinner, Devin goes ahead and gets himself a shower while I get the kids prepped for bed. We work together to get the kids to sleep, and then it's time for him to go to bed and me to go back to work. I try to go to bed at the same time he does, at least a few times a week, but usually I'm up a little bit later. I love having a quiet house, if only for a couple hours. Then once I'm good and tired, I take care of the wood stove if it needs it, and then I'm finally ready to go to bed. And even though I am usually completely exhausted by this point, I am almost skipping up those stairs because I am so excited for this bed. Our bedroom is small, but I think that makes it all the more cozy. Thank you for hanging out with me today. I really appreciate it.